What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be reacting to the worst IndyCar crashes ever. I'm excited to get into this because I have been enjoying reacting to IndyCar, although it's a crashes video, so I'm probably going to end up having a mental breakdown. So let's just get straight into it. But before we do that, make sure you subscribe. Over half of you that are watching my videos still aren't subscribed. Just hit the bell. It takes 2 seconds. And if you'd like to become a member on my channel, you can also do that by hitting the join button down below. Right, let's get it.
Prepare for chaos, confusion, and carnage from the spectacular world of IndyCar. These heart-pounding wrecks from America's premier open-wheel series will have you on the edge of your seat, wondering how the drivers survived. So hold
I'm not
on
ready.
tight. You're watching Racers Reverie, and these are the 20 worst IndyCar crashes ever. First up is this absolutely insane crash from the 2023 season. It was Simon Pagenaud who was on the unfortunate end of this ridiculous roll during practice for the race at Mid-Ohio. The freshman had the worst moment in his entire racing career while coming towards turn 4. Flat out at almost 200 miles per hour, he hit the brakes, but nothing happened. And to make matters worse, he was approaching a downhill runoff. He went sideways and his car flew into the air and made a horrible impact off the ground, sending it into one of the craziest barrel rolls ever. After his car was ripped to pieces from the he was thrown around like a rag doll, and his car hit the wall after rolling over countless times. Fellow Frenchman Sébastien Bourdais was qualifying for the 101st Indianapolis 500 in 2017, pushing as hard as he could to set the fastest lap possible. But he may have pushed a bit too hard, because out of nowhere, disaster struck. He lost control of his car at over 230 miles per hour in the middle of a corner, and it sent him straight into the wall head first. His car was flipped over and caught fire instantly, and the impact was so devastating it could be heard clearly on the video.
No, I don't know if I want to hear it.
Put any lap in the 231 so far. Trouble! Oh, what a crash! What a terrible crash!
Next up is a massive pileup that happened in the 2019
not a pileup.
race at Pocono Raceway. This pack of cars only got around one corner before chaos broke out, all while traveling at almost 240 miles per hour. Takuma Sato squeezed championship contender Alexander Rossi and caused a huge pileup. That also wiped out James Hinchcliffe and Felix Rosenqvist.
Oh my god, the blue car there is just riding the wall.
But the drivers were extremely lucky that nobody was injured in this very nasty crash. In 2011, Tony Kanaan avoided serious injury after this brutal crash with fellow Brazilian Hélio Castroneves on the streets of Baltimore. Kanaan's brakes failed at over 180 miles per hour, and he smashed into the back of Castroneves in an unbelievable impact. He went flying over Castroneves' car and plowed through the tire barriers before hitting the concrete wall on the side of the street. Kurt Busch found out why this oval is just so hard to master. The NASCAR ace was trying his hand at the double, where a driver attempts to race in both the 500-mile Indy 500 IndyCar race and the 600-mile Coke 600 NASCAR Cup race, both on the same day. Perhaps all the practice had put Busch off his A-game. He hit the wall at unbelievable speed, and his car shattered on impact, catching fire in the process.
Oh my god.
It shed bodywork and even a wheel before coming to rest on the grass further up the track.
What an absolute wreck.
To climb out of the car and came back for more.
She's walking away like nothing happened.
But coming on to the very last lap, Ryan Ray came together dramatically at well over 220 miles per hour.
Just did a cartwheel.
Absolutely spectacular crash. They were forced onto the grass, and Briscoe's car went airborne in the biggest way possible. It flipped and smashed off the ground, breaking apart in what resembled an airplane crash more than a car crash. Debris was littered absolutely everywhere. Philippe spun on this blind crest, and his car skidded down the track, coming to rest at the worst possible place. Right at the apex on the racing line. EJ Viso came over the hill next and hit Philippe's front wing, causing some damage and leaving everyone thinking how lucky they were that Viso did not hit him harder. But then came The The Aussie came at tremendous speed and had no chance of avoiding
Ouch.
the leap, and smashed straight into the side of him, causing a horrific crash. Connor Daly lost control of his car and had a massive snap coming out of a corner. And unfortunately for Joseph Newgarden, he was driving right beside him. Connor crashed straight into
not the onboard.
punted him straight into the wall at over 220 miles per hour. Newgarden hit the wall at a horrible angle and got turned upside
What an
down.
absolute
His
wreck
head
of a car
barely
that
missed
is.
the barrier when his car rode along the wall at incredible speed, but it went horribly wrong. He drove into the back of Captain America's car, which instantly sent him flying into the air backwards and heading straight for the wall. He hit the catch fencing and the wall at the same time at a terrible angle, and it shredded his car to pieces, firing him back out onto the track upside down. With nothing but the cockpit itself surrounding Conway, his car spiraled across the track, barely missing Hunter Ray's head as it landed. Both drivers were incredibly lucky to avoid serious injury after this brutal wreck.
You're telling me he walked away from that?
World are familiar with the name
Wow.
Shelby, the car designer most famous for the AC Cobra and the Ford Mustang. But what you may not know is that his son Patrick Shelby was a race car driver. Patrick competed in IndyCar, but this moment in the 1986 race at Laguna Seca wasn't one of his finest. He was racing side by side with Mike Buckingham and made a mistake by moving across the track, hitting Buckingham's car in the process. Shelby got fired straight into the guardrail at unbelievable speed, and his car almost disintegrated on impact due to the severity of the crash. Safety features were not the finest back then, but he somehow avoided serious injury in this extraordinary smash.
Wow, I just got
Another
chills.
famous name, and perhaps the most famous of all, is Mario Andretti.
Yes, I know who that
his
is.
influence in taking motorsports from being a relatively unknown sport into the mainstream. The legendary driver had been
Obviously,
retired for
I know who
6
that is.
years, but in 2003 he decided to chance a comeback at age 63.
If you don't know who that is, are you actually into motorsports?
Mario was minding his own business at over 220 miles per hour, but his car had other ideas. He hit debris from another incident, and his car suddenly went airborne out of nowhere, and Mario suffered an outrageous crash, with his car flipping 6 times.
While running at
6 times.
miles an hour, and he hit some debris.
Oh my god, the height that it got to, the distance that it flew.
Mario had been doing very well until this crash, but he was very fortunate to avoid injury in this shocking shunt.
What?
Let's stick with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for this next one. For what is
Even then they didn't have the
one
safety
of the most
precautions
disturbing crashes
to the
the
extent that
track
they have
has
it now.
In 2015,
And he
James
managed to walk away
Hinchcliffe
from
was
that.
practicing for the Indy 500, and
Without
everything was
serious
going
injury as well.
smoothly for the Canadian until it wasn't. While entering turn 3, Hinchcliffe's front right suspension decided it had enough and completely collapsed, sending James directly
Oh my god, there's a
into the wall
fire.
at over
There's a fire.
230 miles per hour.
And
It
it's
made
upside
a
down.
sickening
Great.
impact against the
Oh,
wall, as
that's
flames
terrible
instantly
impact
erupted
there.
from the car in a horrible turn of events. James was rushed to hospital and his heart flatlined, but he was brought back to life just in time. And in one of the most incredible stories ever, he returned to the Indy 500 the following year.
And he got back in the car. Wow. Fair play. Your heart stopped, but you're back in the car.
In Kentucky during the 2007 installation of the high
He is Superman at that point.
Racing legend Dario Franchitti finished the race in 8th place, drove straight into the back of Dan Wheldon,
Oh,
sending him
dear.
somersaulting through the air in a spectacular scene. He hit the wall at incredible speed and skated along the barrier for what must have seemed like an eternity for the Scot. Rosenqvist's McLaren had, to quote the team, a mechanical fault, but it just so happened to be one of the scariest mechanical faults ever, as the car accelerated at full speed straight towards the wall. He was sent head first at disturbing speed into the
Yeah, if we're
tires,
talking about bad
and hit them
impacts,
so
that
hard
is
that his
terrible.
car lifted them out of the way and proceeded to smash into the concrete wall behind them.
That's giving
Big crash. Felix Rosenqvist.
Carlos Sainz's crash in Russia in 2015. If you haven't seen it, look it up, because the speed that he goes into the barrier,
Felix was stuck in the car for far longer than he would have liked and missed several races due to concussion, but he was lucky to even survive
Not surprised.
after this horror crash.
Yeah.
There's
Wow.
often a debate in motorsports between which is better, rolling starts or standing starts. And while IndyCar currently uses rolling starts, once upon a time they tried the opposite. And it's safe to say
someone
that this
commented
one
on
in
my video and
particular
said that they
was
used
a
to do
little
that.
messy. In 2014, Sebastian Saavedra qualified on pole for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course race, giving him a fantastic chance at the win. But he blew it before he even got going. He stalled on the grid right as the lights went out
dear.
and left himself stationary
What a
in
mess.
the worst possible place.
I understand why they
Carlos
don't do it
Munoz
anymore.
drove straight into the back
Oh
of him,
my
wrecking
God.
both cars. But a split second later, Mikhail Aloshin caused an even bigger wreck when he plowed into the stationary car in a horrific impact. Debris was sent flying as Saavedra's car was
Look
lifted
at
into
the
the air due to
carnage.
the sheer force of the hit. It was one wild ride for the three drivers, but
Yeah.
luckily none was seriously injured. Halfway through the race, James Hinchcliffe was battling fiercely with Tony Kanaan, deciding to go 3 wide around the high-speed banking.
Oh
But
dear.
the fun faded quickly when Kanaan drove up onto Hinchcliffe and knocked his car off balance, sending him into an uncontrollable spin.
Look at the
Hinchcliffe hit wall
carnage.
in a nasty crash, triggering a pileup behind as
Yeah,
other drivers
wow.
tried to avoid the carnage. Sparks were flying and flames were igniting as multiple cars smashed into each other.
Oh,
causing
no.
One of the wildest moments in recent IndyCar history. And last on our list is perhaps the most destructive crash of all.
Great.
The sickening impact came during the 2005 race at the much-loved Chicagoland Speedway, where the speeds used to get quite literally out of control. Ryan Briscoe was racing side by side with Alex Barron, and when Barron moved down the track, there was nothing Briscoe could do. The two made contact, sending Briscoe skywards over Barron's car and nose first towards the catch fencing. He hit the wall and fence at a horrific angle. His car split in two as it ripped through a post in the fence.
Oh my
leaving
God.
a huge hole. And to make matters worse, his car was carrying a lot of fuel, causing it to explode
Yeah.
on impact. The cockpit began spinning violently down the track and was narrowly missed by his teammate Scott Dixon. It took Briscoe over 2 months to recover fully from this one, but at least he lived to tell the tale. And with that, we
What?
have the 20 worst IndyCar crashes ever.
That's giving
From
Grosjean
high-speed
when he
oval
walked out the
climbs
flyer.
to scary street course shunts, these IndyCar crashes demonstrate the tenacity and drive
How he
of these
survived that.
modern-day
Damn.
gladiators.
A few moments later.
As much as I squirm when watching crashes, I do enjoy those videos. I did absolutely love that video, can't lie. It was very enjoyable. So as much as I say I'm having a mental breakdown on the inside when I'm watching crash compilations, I do enjoy them. So with that being said, if you have any other videos that you'd like me to react to, drop them in the comments. I'm working my way through everybody's suggestions at the moment. If you'd like to check out any of my other socials, they are all linked down below. And if you'd like to become a member on my channel and receive exclusive perks, you can also do that by hitting the join button down below. But I hope you enjoyed today's reaction, and I will catch you next time for the next one. Bye!